What up? This is Rico and Cody from Reflection Comics, and this is another episode of Comic Talk, actually episode 3. And we're still on the DareDevil review. And today we're going to discuss, 7 and 8?
Yes.
And man, there were some things that happened in 7 and 8 that was controversial, cheap, well done. It was an emotional roller coaster.
For a lack of a better term.
It was an emotional roller coaster, guys. You know us. If you don't know us by now, we don't get along when it comes to comic books. But we are always trying to find, I feel like we're always trying to find a reason to debate, then agree. I think that's us. But how do you feel about 7 and 8? Let's just jump into it.
All right. Episode 7. One of the biggest things, so I talked about this in our previous episodes of Comic Talk, but the big issues that I've had so far are really two major things. Lost potential and then execution. Not necessarily the ideas, but the execution.
Mm-hmm.
With episode 7, I had a different problem, which is nothing happened up until the end where everything happened with the death of Muse.
Yeah.
But honestly, I had so much trouble in preparing for this episode. I had so much trouble remembering anything of what happened in episode 7 before Muse's death. There was just nothing interesting. Nothing jumped out at me as very memorable.
I feel as though it was a big build up. I've noticed what they're doing with Daredevil series and what Disney Plus likes to do with their MCU shows is they'll give you dry spell, but it's almost like a character arc or a plot build up, and it's so dry. I do agree with that, and it's so just slow building. It's slow building, and then it's like they spend 40 minutes to build up to this 4-minute scene. And it's like, okay, thanks for giving me this snore fest just to wake me up with this sucker punch that I knew that was happening because you took so much time letting me know that it was going to happen at the very last moment of the show. Right or wrong? I think
I completely agree.
Yeah.
This episode, so much more than any other one, it was just spinning wheels. That's about the best way I can put it. I think the reason why they're doing a lot of the long, drawn-out stuff is, I don't know who's writing the show. I should probably look and see
Mickey
who's
Mouse.
doing that.
Mickey Mouse. You didn't know that? This is Mickey Mouse show.
No, I mean, who specifically is writing it? Who's the individual behind it? Mickey could be writing it. That could explain.
Yeah. Well,
To me, though, it's the cheap... You talked about some stuff being cheap in some of these 2 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that was cheap to me is this is Baby's first writing.
Wow.
I know.
What?
When I say that, what I'm talking about is you sat someone down in a room and you're you're going to make a mature television show, right? You're going to make the sequel to Daredevil Netflix.
Yeah.
And then they look at Daredevil Netflix and they're like, well, they had long episodes, so we're going to make long episodes. When in reality, you could probably just have 30-minute episodes for this show. You could shave off a lot of stuff. And you could have had your 18-episode season of just 30-minute episodes at this point.
I don't know. I'm always watching it. After everything I just said, I'm always watching it, and I'm always still entertained because I'm just looking forward to what's going to happen next. Even though sometimes I can predict it, but for the most part, it doesn't. It's still surprising to me because it's not exactly how I predicted. For example, Muse. I completely thought Muse was going to be the big bad, even though we had Kingpin. And I know Kingpin is the big bad of the series, but I thought Muse was going to be the big bad of the story arc because it ends this Tuesday. Right?
Yeah.
And I thought
last episode on this Tuesday.
And I thought Muse was going to be the one to make it to the last episode and not die. Sorry, spoiler alert. If you haven't watched it by now,
sorry.
What's wrong with you? Your problem, not ours. Muse died in the worst way possible. Let's talk. You want to talk about that fight? Because
Yeah,
we still have,
can do that.
yeah, because we still have another episode to talk about in this one. So Muse is he has super strength, not like Superman super strength, but he should have been stronger than Daredevil when it comes to physical ability.
When you're talking about Muse having super strength, you're talking about like in the comics?
Yeah.
Because in this show, he doesn't appear to have anything.
He can fight though. And
Yeah,
he can take a punch. Oh, the buddy can take a punch.
He picked up some Taekwondo lessons at the YMCA.
Yeah. When he was a kid, grown man, became a kung fu master as a kid, and he retained all of that. I went to Taekwondo. I made it to black belt when I hit 18. I am 40 years old, and if I was to kick higher than my head, my butthole would probably fall out of my body. Yeah, I am so not stretched out, or just I'm old, and I'm assuming that's the same age as Muse and Daredevil in this series. They're probably late 30s, early 40s, at least between 35 and 45.
Matt is definitely.
Well, yeah, Muse did look a little younger, but the point of the matter is, who else are you fighting? We have never seen you in the MCU yet, and all of a sudden you pop up with some, like you said, YMCA, you know?
I mean, I'm just poking fun at it because it's like it's the absurdity of what you just said. This guy is going toe to toe with Daredevil. I know that he was gone for a year, but I don't feel like you'd fall off the bandwagon that hard. Maybe I don't know. He did spend the end of the episode before. No, that was episode 5, I believe it was, where he was training again with the Billy Club, and then he got back into the suit for episode 6. But
Yeah.
at this point, the fighting. I'm going to say this. This is such a shame. I'm a big fan of the character of Iron Fist from the comics. Muse is a better fighter than Iron Fist in the MCU. It's such a shame.
Wow.
It's such a shame. He's throwing 360 spin hook kicks and stuff like that.
True.
Iron Fist could never. I'm sorry.
No, go back to Game of Thrones, Danny Rad. Oh my goodness.
No.
Speaking of Danny Rad, in the new Amazing Spider-Man 1, Peter Parker gets a job at Rad Industries, which is pretty cool. I like how they threw that name. They did a name drop in the newest Spider-Man comic, because honestly, I haven't heard anything from Iron Fist or Danny Rad in a long, long time.
No, he's been gone ever since they replaced him with Swords Master, which was a horrible decision.
So maybe what I'm leading to is, hopefully, maybe since he's working at Rad Industries, maybe in the new Amazing Spider-Man, we're going to get Iron Fist reintroduced in that comic book. That would be really cool.
If they do, I hope it's good.
Yeah. And I also like they're going in that direction instead of Peter Parker working for Oscorp again, or working for the what's the foundation? Fantastic.
What, Future Foundation?
Yeah, it's like I'm happy he's away from that and he's in something new. But let's reel it back in and get back to Daredevil. Like I said, comic talk, guys, right? And then Muse, he dies, and when he dies by handgun fire by the psychiatrist that is, the shrink to the Fisk family, Vanessa and Wilson Fisk, and this little boy with emo issues, and oh my goodness, and it's like, Muse, really, what happened? Why you're episode late, buddy, or early? So what's gonna happen this episode?
Well, so when it comes to the stuff with Muse, he comes into the office
Mm-hmm.
and then he starts having a conversation with her. I don't know if the show thought that it was being clever. I was I saw some articles online and some people talking about this. Like, this is the reveal of who Muse is. Like, I wasn't the only one that could see that coming from a mile away.
True.
You gave the guy a dedicated scene in the second episode of showing this, like, very odd guy coming up and, hey, will you sign my book, please? And it's like, oh, okay, that's a character that's going to come back again. And it just so happens to be Muse.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No, you're okay.
Timer went off. I don't even know why the timer goes off at 10:16. Who wakes up at that time? Weird. But yeah, like you were saying, throughout the entire show, we get these little hints, and they're not even hints. They're just like, I'm directly telling you who this person is.
Period.
But they try to do it in the most secretive, almost not noticing way. It's like, no, dude, this dude's a creepo.
Yeah.
He is definitely villain vibe. Like, he has that old world villain vibe, like, Indiana Jones type villain, where he looks like he's okay, but he just walks a little different than the rest. Like, oh man,
standing there with his hands in his
like, why you look awkward, bro?
Like he looks like he's not allowed within 500 feet of a school.
Yes, yeah. He doesn't go to schools or post offices. Definitely not going to Chuck E. Cheese
Playgrounds
or Dave and Buster's. Which, by the way, speaking of Dave and Buster's, Reflection Comics will be at Bent Box, which is a local comic book shop, a local comic book creator, Bent Box Comics. This April in Fort Myers, if you guys close by, on the 26th, come to Comic at the Arcade, or Con at the Arcade. And that's going to be at the Bell Tower at the Dave & Buster's. So, come check us out. You come in and grab a flyer, you already enter a raffle, and it's free admission. You have nothing to do on a Saturday? Show up.
It's already a cool spot to hang out, and there's going to be comics there. So
yeah.
If you're a fan, come check it out. It'll be good.
I wish I thought of it. I'm so jealous of that, though. I'm so jealous of that. Like,
it is a good idea.
It's a great idea. It's a great idea. We got to get those guys on the show one day. Real cool peoples. But, and then now let's get into Wilson Fisk and Vanessa and their love triangle with Adam.
Love triangle's closed, boys.
Oh my goodness.
Pack it up, go home.
It was like, it's either me or him. And Vanessa did not hesitate. I don't know what her problem was. Like, she knew what kind of man she married. Why would you look at another guy? He is, like...
Even while he's in a coma, I'm thinking, like, he's going to come back from the dead.
Like,
and he's going to strangle him.
Right? This is a man that squished... He liquefied a man's head in a car door. There's nothing he won't do to a human being body. Like... oh my
I wouldn't
goodness.
so much as look at him sideways.
Poor Adam. I don't feel bad for Adam because you don't mess with Fisk's girl, regardless. Even if it's like years gone by. I'm like, nah, man, he's still alive? Nope. You're taken. As long as he's alive, you're taken. And
even if he's dead, I'd have second thoughts.
Yeah, I believe that. Because what kind of woman would date Fisk? Another crazy person. That's why. But
she turned out to be crazy. She gatted him 5 times.
Oh yeah. And I think, do you think, all right, this is a question they never talked about it. It just happened. And then Fisk and his stature, he just act like it didn't happen. Vanessa sent out a hit while he was eating dinner.
Yeah.
And
that was a good scene.
Yeah, that was a great scene. The dude reminded me of Wesley. Like, that's his Wesley, you know?
Yeah.
And,
Buck.
Yeah, that's Buck his name? Buck.
Buck is your new Wesley character.
God,
Fisk's right-hand man that's doing his dirty work.
What do you know about Buck?
We don't know anything. He's exceptional with a gun.
Yeah, he wears nice suits. That's all we know so far. And he stands in corners. His job is to stand in the shadow.
He'd make a cool James Bond.
Buck. Go stand over there in that hole. Yes. That's it. Just stand there. He's probably even slurping a Slurpee. Just a Slurpee and a gun hanging out in the dark. Weirdos. New York is full of weirdos, apparently.
He would make a good James Bond.
He would?
Yeah.
Like
with the nice suits,
like
the nice
villain.
guns.
I guess.
Just a picture if he wasn't a villain. Like, he's got a nice smile, he's got a cigarette, he's got the silenced gun.
Yeah.
He could make a good James Bond.
Driving a Porsche.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I can see.
Maybe leave the Slurpee at home.
I'll let that go. I've never been a really big James Bond fan.
No.
I don't know. Something about it. Like,
I love them.
The older ones, yes. When they first came out and the Nintendo 64 was basing their games off of the movie, that's when they were good. But, like, the new one with the new actor, like Casino Royale.
Daniel Craig.
Yeah, I have yet to watch any of them.
The people that make the Hitman games are making a James Bond game. That is going to be awesome.
That's going to be really cool. Yeah.
They put out some stuff about it
I'm
at a
down
recent
playing
Game
that.
Expo.
Yeah, for sure.
So, How did we get here?
I don't know. This is what we do. So yeah, let's get back on Vanessa and Fisk.
Yeah, she called out a hit on him at a restaurant.
Yeah, and Buck just seamlessly took that out. Boom. And then he was like, yo, ask Vanessa if she wants me to bring any leftovers. And now it's the last time we hear about it. Do you think Vanessa knows that that Wilson knows that she tried to assassinate him?
Absolutely. I don't see a way. When I first watched the scene, after Buck shoots him, he goes and starts rifling through his coat.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking, is he going to call Vanessa from his phone? Be like, hey, do you want anything for dinner?
Yeah. Like, I wish they would have showed that, because it would have let Vanessa... I would have liked to see the look on Vanessa's face.
Right, that moment of just,
like, I'm going in, about to do the deed. Next thing you know, Wilson calls, hey, Vanessa, you want any clam chowder? You know?
Good impression.
2 for 1 special. Cheesy breads. Yes, cheesy breads. Yeah, I would love to see the look on her face, knowing like, no, I'm sorry, there's no taking this man out. What was I thinking? Why does she think she's that badass? In the comic book, she's not even that badass. She's a boss, or she's a mob boss, but she's no Wilson Fisk.
Like, she took over while he was gone, but she's nowhere near as savage as he is.
No. She's not even. I don't think she's at the tier of what's homegirl's name? Oh my goodness, Violet.
Who are you thinking of?
She started the Thunderbolts.
Oh yeah, Victoria
Victoria
de Fontaine.
Yes, thank you. Wow, this guy's all
Madam Hand.
Madam Hand.
Or Madam Viper, either one.
That's a badass name for a lady villain. Madam Hand. Give me the Iron Fist, literally. But yeah, I don't even think Vanessa is that status. I would much rather disrespect her. No, I take that back, because that means you're disrespecting Fisk. And Fisk,
don't do that.
I take all of this back. I take it all back.
Don't.
But Hand is still cool. Madam, I like that name, Madam Hand.
Madam Hand. I like Madam Viper. That's her other name.
Wow.
When she was tied in with Hydra for a little while.
Okay. Cool.
But yeah, when it comes to what they're doing between them, up to this point, the show had been giving us a lot of stuff about their relationship, Fisk and Vanessa, and I was just so checked out. I didn't care to see them go to couples therapy. I'm glad it's over with. I'm glad that they're back where they should be. I'm going to have trouble forgiving this show for putting me through it up to this point.
Okay.
But I'm glad that they are where they're supposed to be. They're back to being the power couple. In the comics, Fisk's one and only weakness has always been Vanessa.
And I think... I didn't mean to interrupt.
Yeah, you're all good.
Oh, and I didn't... That's what I do like about the couples therapy between... let's just call them... They're villains.
Yeah.
And they're in a marriage. So that means even though that they rule New York in some way, the underbelly of New York, or they're both mobsters or gangsters or mega bosses. I don't want to call them super villains. At least not yet.
No.
They still have those everyday normal marriage problems. You know? Like everyone, they can still relate to you. And I think that's what I like about it. Because there's still a sliver of I don't know, maybe humanity left in them that, like I went through a divorce, so I can relate to it. That's just cool. You know, I can go, oh man, they're human. You know, they're untouchable, but they're still vulnerable, but to each other.
Do you want to relate though to a guy that turns a man's head into a slushy in a door?
Yeah, I think that's good writing well, what I mean by that is
I did that yesterday.
Well, I think that's what makes villains. When you have a good writer that can make you root for the villain and forget that he's a bad guy, that's a good writer. And that's a good story of that independent character.
It depends on the character, I think.
Like Penguin. No one likes Penguin. But you watch the show Penguin, you root for him. And then... Up
until the last.
Well, no, in every other episode, the writer reminds you why you should not root for him. And you're like, oh, I can't believe you would do that. And it's like, yes, He does. He's the Penguin.
That's what he does.
That's what he does. But
you just forgot for a little while.
and I
Here,
love
let me
that.
remind you.
Yeah, I love that. Like Wilson Fisk, Kingpin. No, I don't think anyone really cared about Kingpin. And so Vincent sorry about Slaughterhouse, your name. You're better with names.
Vincent D'Onofrio.
D'Onofrio.
He's a cool dude, by the way.
Yo.
Yeah.
I remember him. What was the first movie you ever seen him in?
Magnificent Seven.
Yeah. Gomer Pyle.
Oh, yeah, he was in Full Metal Jacket.
Full Metal Jacket.
Yeah, okay.
And he was the bad guy in Men in Black. #1. He was the roach.
Really?
Yeah. Water. Yeah, it was just a skinny Fisk. He had the same. Yeah. Need some water. Yeah. Those two movies. That's what really. Anything he's done, it's always been good. He's never done anything just kind of just goes under the radar. At least his character never goes under the radar.
I won't
Good
commit
actor.
to that because I
Yeah?
don't know for a fact. I'd have to look at the movies that he's done. If there's anything that's been like very forgettable.
I don't think he's been in a lot of movies. At least I don't like I said, I only need two. But that was just from me, I almost my childhood. But those are old movies. Am I that old? I'll be 41 this June. Woo! 41. But I looking fresh. More grays, but hey, that's life. And stress. But yeah. And kids will do that to you. But anyway, let's move forward. And Bullseye. Wow. My girl, she was like, how come they have handcuffs on his hands and mittens? I mean, because his fingers are lethal weapons, man. If he can grab his phalanges, if he grabs anything, you're done. She's like, anything? I'm like, yeah, give him a toothpick, he'll slaughter over him.
So this is the problem that I have with that is Bullseye's powers, Bullseye as a character, his abilities have never been fully explained. He's not like Gambit. He can't take something and turn anything into a lethal weapon. There are certain things like a toothpick and stuff like that. Okay, you can flick it if you hit somebody in the right spot. You're going to kill them.
Yeah.
But a tooth. Right, so he kills somebody with a tooth.
That is true.
We can back up a little bit in just a second, talk about how that came to be, that conversation between him and Matt.
Thank you for bringing that up.
Him using a tooth, like, if you flick a tooth at somebody from your mouth, it's going to hurt, but it's going to bounce off of them. Mm-hmm. He shot it straight through his eye like a gun.
Yeah, it was maximum effort.
I understand the scissors. I understand when he breaks the scissors and uses it, but a tooth.
Yeah.
That facilitates his entire escape. I would almost call that a plot hole.
True.
But you want to go back to that
I want to go back to that conversation with Matt Murdock and I can always forget Bullseye's name. It's the most nerdiest name ever.
He's got a goofy name, Poindexter.
Poindexter. Come on, like Revenge of the Nerds. But Poindexter and Matt Murdock. I feel like they tried to reenact that scene between Daredevil and Kingpin when they were in prison. You remember that? The prison scene where he was like, he threatened Vanessa, which was the worst thing possible. Because he took Matt Murdock and slammed him all over this table. And then picked him back up and told him it's time for him to leave. And then he gets into a fight with the whole prison. Like, jeez. But anyway, we're going too far. We're going back like 5 years ago.
Good show.
Great show.
Good scene.
Great scene. There was one thing about the scene that I did not like because it was just corny and it was like very reachy to me. When Matt Murdock was like, "Fuck you," it was like, dude, okay, I understand this is Disney Channel, I understand, but you don't need nothing to prove, dude. Like, I feel like that was lazy writing, and it was almost like one thing I don't like in movies when they use sex or nudity to sell a scene. I think it's lazy writing and bad taste. There's so many. You could have felt that with a one-liner that could have gone down in history. That could have been on the T-shirt. But you use it with an F-bomb. And, we're all adults here. We can deal with that. But this is still Disney Plus. And I feel like Disney Plus was like, hey, we got to show them that we're not the Mouse House. We're still taking that Netflix vibe, and we're bringing it here. And that was them trying to prove it. It's like...
And it landed with a wet fart. I'm sorry.
Splat. Yeah.
If
Yeah.
cursing is edgy, we're going to show them we can be edgy too.
Yeah, that's exactly what it came off like. But at the same time, it really did show Matt Murdock has raw emotion, feelings for this guy. Just his best friend. Basically his brother, his life partner. You know? Like literally life since college, you know? But I feel, do you think when Matt Murdock slammed his face up against the table, do you think he purposely did that to loosen his tooth?
No.
He just did it out of rage?
I do. I think so.
Yeah?
Because he'd been taunting him up to that point. For me, when it comes to that scene, the issue that I have is, so I'm going to say this, and it's going to sound stupid, and then we're going to walk it back when we think about it.
Okay.
Why did Matt need to go see him?
Exactly. No reason at all.
So he wanted, Dex, they call him Dex in the Netflix show.
Yeah.
Just so that I don't have to keep saying Poindexter like a doofus.
Right.
So Dex wanted him to come see him, to come talk to him.
Mm-hmm.
And then I actually like what he said to him. His thing of like, hey, if you want answers, you're going to help me get out of here. It didn't work, but still, I like that he was trying to manipulate Matt. He just is not very good at it.
Mm-hmm.
I like seeing people not succeed at things, but still make an attempt at them like that.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, he helped him get out. I think Matt had to know, if I slam this dude's face up against this iron table enough, something's going to pop loose.
I don't think so.
You know,
that's such a, it's not 1 in a million, but it's such a thing of like, you're running a gamble, you're running a chance, and then this is my thing. Matt didn't have to come see him to facilitate his escape. Dex could have just smashed his face on the table, or at Black Widow style, pop loose a tooth.
Yeah.
He didn't need Matt to come see him to facilitate his escape.
Well, I think he needed to be in that situation. Think about, they have him tied up tight. Like,
he just do it against the wall.
Yeah. That's true. He could have just smashed his face up against the wall. You know? But I think that, like, what are you doing over there, Poindexter? You know? Hey, just smashing himself up against the wall? I don't know. It would have been, I don't think it would have, the writers wanted drama. They wanted something. And that's like what cringe.
I was going to say.
Yeah.
They wanted a scene between, this is your hero, this is your villain. Mm-hmm. Let's have that conversation, the sit-down conversation between the two. Mm-hmm. But the problem is that it was kind of nothing. Dex lays out like this, if you want answers, you're going to help me out of here. Yeah.
And then next thing you know.
No.
Well, then he slams his face up against the table, pops a tooth out, and the next thing you know, he's out. Just to get shot. Let's go to the ball. Right. Let's go to the ball. Let's wrap it up at the ball. So we had this ball, which was a waste of time for the last 15 minutes. I was about 15 minutes, a little under. But it was like, come on, you got a 40-minute show. Use a quarter of that at the ball. And it was just grueling and dragged out. And why? And once again, the biggest climactic build-up was Bullseye back up in the rafters. I don't know how he got another sniper rifle. Does he have like a stash, like under random garages?
He took out some of the security guards.
Yeah. But wait, time out. Let's go back.
You want to go to his escape?
Yes, yeah. I forgot about that part. No one knows his face. He's the most dangerous man in the prison. No one knows his face by sight.
So I took notes.
Are you serious?
I took notes on the episode.
Yeah.
They had that scene, his escape. He gets on the bus for the prison transfer for the cops, and it happens at night. And it's a good thing that it happened at night because he would have been recognized. I'm surprised that, they're letting the cops onto the bus. They're checking their IDs.
Yeah, this is what I'm saying.
But you're not looking at the individual to see if the face matches that. This is a super max security prison. Yeah, you look vaguely like Jim. Go on the bus. Go on.
Yes, but the guy inside the bus looked at him directly like, oh, long night, buddy.
He turned back and looked at him.
Yes, and then veered out of the window. Like, yeah.
Nothing. Didn't click.
Like, huh? Come on, dude. I would much rather him done a Shawshank than that.
Right, yeah.
You know? Like, it would have just, come on, Netflix. I'm sorry. Come on, Disney. Yeah, Don't make it smooth and shiny and easy every other turn. Like this is a show that is built on grit and grime and aggressiveness. The show is not meant to be pretty and easy for every cast member or every character, and I feel like they're just giving us a lot of easy way out for these characters just to move forward to the next scene. And
if I can speak to that for just a 2nd, that is one of the issues that I feel like this show is starting to have. I don't know if you noticed this. So I had talked before about there being 18 episodes. So if you don't know, this show was originally supposed to be 18 episodes. This show has technically been filmed twice.
Yeah.
The first show was, you can find articles about it online. It was very heavily inspired by Law and Order. It was much more of a courtroom drama than a Daredevil show. And so...
Foggy and Nelson. Avocado that law.
I would actually watch it if it was well written.
Yeah? Like She-Hulk?
No.
No?
No. You can't say She-Hulk and well written in the same sentence.
Well, you want a Marvel Law. There you go.
So here's the worst example of it.
Yeah. It would not be a good show. If it was just a law show, nah. I would watch it. Definitely not.
It depends on how it's written.
Yeah, I guess so. I'll try it out. I'll give it like 2 episodes.
But my point to that is, so the original show was going to be much more of a legal procedure show. It was going to be 18 episodes. They started filming it, and it sucked. They canned it halfway through filming, and then they Disney fired everybody, brought on the staff from the original Netflix show, some of them, and brought back some of the original characters and stuff like that, and then started over.
Okay.
They weren't going to give them any more money, though, and they already filmed half a show, so now we only have 9 episodes to tell a story that they originally intended 18 for. And so the problem that you have with this show, especially with episodes 7 and 8, is that it feels like there's stuff that's missing that we haven't seen. At the ball, people are like afraid of Fisk again, and Fisk hasn't done anything publicly to make them afraid of him.
Not publicly, but I have noticed the chief of police. He's gonna end up getting probably X'd out.
Yeah, so that's another thing. This show is, when I talk about the show being amateurish, I know that sounds harsh to put against the show, but you can see them setting up the pieces. We are building up to, these are the people that are going to help take down Wilson Fisk. Daniel might be one of them. I think if you're going to have Daniel be one of the people to turn against Fisk, Fisk might ask him to kill BB, and that would make him change his mind.
I think Daniel's is the Rose. I really do. You know who the Rose is?
You and I talked about it a little bit.
Yeah.
I know that it's Fisk's son.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to go that direction.
He just has that vibe. Like, I feel like he's going to eventually evolve into a villain. And the only thing I can see him being, if he doesn't die by Tuesday, I feel as though he's going to be some kind of underboss. He's going to earn some kind of trust, of Wilson Fisk. And he's gonna almost be like I don't want to say Kingpin's going to take him under his wing, but I feel like he's going to start like carving out his own groove in the underworld of New York.
I get that.
Based off of how he's acting and the blackmail that he's doing to BB and what he's kind of lurking in the dark a little bit, and he's in Wilson's ear, and Wilson is starting to take what he says seriously, and as serious as he would take anybody, you know.
And I consider that a bit of a writing problem because Fisk knows he let information leak to BB, and so there's a couple things.
Yeah, he didn't do nothing about it, you know.
He gave him a scolding, and then he said, "Okay, now do better." Essentially,
that's what I mean.
And so when I talk about the show is setting up the pieces, when I talk about the show being amateurish, you can see the pieces being set up. Daniel is very clearly someone who may turn against Fisk.
Yeah.
That's a maybe. Sheila is absolutely going to turn against Fisk. Gallo is absolutely going to turn against Fisk, and BB. And then you have all 3 of these people here at your party. Gallo, this to me, I would almost say that this is a writing flaw with the show. Fisk already knows that Gallo hates his guts. Fisk kept him in charge of the police force as a show of good publicity.
Yeah.
It's an optics thing. You know, this is the guy that people like. We're going to keep him in charge. But Fisk would not let this guy so much as breathe without having a security guard right there to watch him. He knows that he hates his guts. He knows that he's trying to undermine him. Why would you let him be alone for even a second? And, you know, you have the thing of, all right, so now people are going to see Fisk as having security follow around the police commissioner. So you're thinking about, from a writing perspective, okay, people are going to look at that, they're going to judge Fisk badly. How would Fisk spin that? It's part of the Vigilante Protection Service. Fisk would make it into, this is a political opportunity for him, and it's a chance to get what he wants, which is his information. You know, this guy that's a big, potentially a very big nail in his balloon, and he's going to keep him within the cage. And then BB. I understand that Daniel is friends with BB, that BB wrote an article in defense of Fisk's narrative, but why is she allowed at this black and white ball with all of these important people? Like, and she's already leaked information. She should be either face down. Fisk, if this was Netflix, she would be face down in a ditch already.
So you're saying she'll be like her uncle?
Yes.
Wow.
She would have been face down in the ditch.
Wow, that's.
Or
whoa.
he would.
I didn't say it.
It's just. And the reason why I say it is because we're back to having the Fisk that's willing to kill people.
Yes, we are. You're right.
He's not killing.
He's done being nice.
Yeah, and he's not killing one person that he probably should or would in order to maintain his empire. And now we have Gallo connecting with BB, so the pieces are all falling into place. Like you talked about the show having some predictable elements. Predictability is not always a bad thing, but when it comes to a show like this, where the thrill is, you know, what's going to happen, it being predictable is a problem. At least I see it as a problem.
Well, yeah. Like, there's a lot of ups and downs with this show, and I think that's a good thing, because if you didn't have that, you wouldn't have this.
Right.
And I real quick before we wrap it up, what would you give this show out of 5? Leading up to the season finale, so far, first 8 episodes, reintroducing DareDevil after 5 years of hiatus, right? 5 years?
I think so.
What would you give?
5 to 7. Yeah.
10? Is it 10?
I don't know if it's 10 yet.
Not yet. Well, what would you give Disney Plus's version of Daredevil Born Again? Same cast, same setting, just years later. What would you give it out of 5?
Out of 5?
Yeah.
I'm going to do out of 10, because out of 10 makes it a little easier.
Okay.
Out of 5 is going to make it sound either too harsh or not quite harsh enough.
Okay.
I would honestly give it a 4.
Oh, 4.
A 4 out of 10. It is. I can watch it. I've not enjoyed a lot of what I've liked. One episode so far, and that was episode 5. That was essentially like a Daredevil, a Matt Murdock one-shot comic.
Okay.
In an episode.
All right.
I enjoyed that. A 4, I would give it maybe a 5 at the very most. There's just too many problems with it, and I'm not one of those people, like, I can't just turn off my brain and just, like, let the colors, you know, assault my eyes.
Okay. I would give this show 7.5. Creep it up on an 8. The reason why...
Really?
Yeah. Well, because, like, the problems in the show is another part of the show that's keeping me engaged into the show. Like... I find myself yelling at my TV screen, like, why would you do that? So I'm interacting with this show. It's not just noise in the background to me. So if it has my attention, I'm invested into it. Even if it's good, bad, or ugly. Okay. It has my attention.
So even if it's a train wreck and you can't look away.
If it was that bad, I would just turn it off.
You still can't look away.
But if it was that bad, I would turn it off.
No, I'm just pulling away.
Well, yeah, you're right, though. You're absolutely right. Like, the one scene, like, oh man, we just kind of flew by it. The the whole entire Bullseye getting out of prison. That was stupid. They could have done so many more things. That honestly, him breaking out of prison in a heat of battle would have been better way to end the show, to end the episode, you know. Right. And then let's start it at the ball, for the final episode.
He goes full speed through that.
Yeah.
I mean, he gets out there. He gets out of prison. He does the escape, and then he's at the ball within like 15 minutes of the show.
Like, we could have built up for the season finale of that, and that could have been a big bad fight. Now, hold on, I want to get back to my thought and then jump back into that. Because we do have to wrap this up pretty soon. Like I said, I give it a 7.5. I enjoy this show. I don't dislike the show. I just feel like some things could have been done better. That's just me critiquing. Mm-hmm. Obviously, you guys at Marvel and Disney, you guys know how to make a show. Doesn't mean you know how to make a great show, but you guys know how to make a show.
You know how to make money.
Or money, yeah. But we got to also keep in mind, Charlie Cox, Vincent, and Punisher, they all said if this show wasn't going to be written the way that felt comfortable to them, they wouldn't be a part of it. So there's something happening that is worth viewing. There's something happening worth making, and there's something happening that's worth it to keep these iconic characters and actors attached. So I have to give it above a 5 for that. I just out of respect of the cast, how they came back and did their business. But
my only problem with that is if you give people enough money, I think you can get them to come back. I don't think that's necessarily a statement of quality.
Not really.
Not always.
Like, cause when you got think about it, these are Charlie Cox, Vincent, and Josh or John Bernthal. These guys, they don't need that money. Bernthal just got finished doing Assassin 2. Not Assassin, Accountant 2.
Yeah.
And then he's in the middle of filming Odyssey with Tom Holland. With Ridley Scott. He don't need that money, Vincent, he hasn't done anything since Hawkeye. I'm thinking he's pretty good. And then Charlie Cox, I don't know what he's doing.
I don't know what he's doing. He's been staying at home.
But I've seen him at almost any big Comic-Con. He's been doing that, but I don't know what he's doing.
So I have a question.
And cosplay. He's a big cosplayer.
So I have a question for you for the sake of the audience. So
okay.
you gave Daredevil Born Again. You said a 7.5 to an 8.
Not an 8. I won't give it an 8. I will give it a 7, a solid 7. Okay. I'll give it a solid 7.
All right. What would you give Netflix Daredevil? Those 3
a 10.
seasons. Okay.
A 10. 100%. Right.
And I'm the same way. So Daredevil Born Again, 4 out of 10.
Yeah, a 10.
For me, Netflix Daredevil, like a 9, 9.5, 10.
I can't not think of a flaw that the Netflix series made, except for making Iron Fist. That's it. And Iron Fist wasn't even that bad. I found myself falling asleep watching it though. Kind of like Morbius. I watched that show. I watched that movie 5 times, and I fell asleep 3 times. The 4th time I watched. Well, I didn't watch it. It was just on while I was cleaning the house. And then a month ago, I sat here at the shop and I watched it on my laptop. So I had no choice. I just had no choice. It was a Monday. It was slow.
Somebody was holding a gun to your head?
No, I was just sitting,
watch
chilling.
Morbius.
Well, because I never watched it all the way through, and I couldn't even tell you how it ended. And I stared at it. I just couldn't retain the information.
I will say, Daredevil Born Again, better than Morbius.
Yeah.
That's an endorsement.
Yeah.
Better than Madam Web.
Napoleon Dynamite is better than Morbius.
Well, that's easy.
Well, I mean, I can't think of anything worse than Morbius.
She-Hulk's pretty close second.
Nah, man, She-Hulk's good. I would give...
Ew.
Yeah, She-Hulk is better than Morbius. The best thing about Morbius was the tanker scene. The boat scene. That's from the beginning, 15 minutes into the movie.
I'll take your word for it. I never watched the movie.
It's good. Good idea. That's a good idea.
I saved myself time.
Well, on that note, we are running out of time. And I guess next time you're going to hear from us is the season finale of Daredevil Born Again, issue episode 9. Sorry, they're all starting to run around. And
It's all comics.
they're all comics to me. So yeah, this is my main man, Cody, and I'm Rico. This is Reflection Comics, presenting to you guys Comic Talk. You guys have a great day.